I'm having trouble seeing the big picture in the market, and I'm only seeing red for the year. How do I kind of reframe this thought process?
All right. So this is a very common one, right? I mean, people are worried about the market. It's been a pretty brutal market, especially when you consider what's happened with the bond market. So,
Hmm.
our clients are average 60% stock, 40% bond. And, usually the bonds kind of offset some of the stock losses in a lot of these downturns because people run for the bonds in this environment where rates were down to zero. They're having to raise rates so much it's killing both the bond and the stock market, and people are worried, right?
Hmm.
So let's do one thing here first. Let's just kind of start with a little bit of a longer term perspective
Yep.
because it's super important to understand how the stock market works. If you're seeing red all the time, great. You probably, are still doing okay if you've been in it for a while. And hopefully, if we look at 5 years from now, that'll still be true, right?
Hmm.
And so if we look here, this is a 5-year chart of the S&P 500. And this is specifically the S&P 500. You can't actually buy the S&P 500. You can buy an ETF that replicates the S&P 500. Vanguard has one, VOO. Spider has another one for SPY. So this is the 56% rate of return on the raw S&P 500,
Hmm.
index since the last 5 years. But look at what we had to go through, right? If you want to have no red and no worries whatsoever, you put everything in the bank.
Hmm.
But you're going to lose to inflation. And so then people go out to the stock market because they want to keep up with inflation and beat inflation. Two big areas are real estate and stocks that do well long term to kind of give you enough assets to keep ahead of inflation over the long term. But there is a cost, and that cost is this flex, this variability. So if you
Hmm.
look at that first V downturn there, that was 2008, almost 20%. 2018, sorry, almost 20%. That obviously the second big one was the pandemic, 2020, and now we've seen, we peaked out here at the beginning of the year, and we've got this kind of rolling downturn, more like the 2000 and 2008 downturns, still up 56%.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You put 100,000 or a million or whatever it is you have into the S&P 500, you're pretty happy after 5 years, unless you focused on what you had at the top.
Yeah.
That it happens all the time. My clients, oh, we're down, 100,000 or whatever it is, right? And it's like, okay, yes, that's true from the very highest point that you had on your account. You are down that much, but if you go back farther, you're up a lot.
Hmm.
And so that's one, broaden the perspective if you're having trouble with what's happening here and realize that this is part of the normal motion. And that blue line there is the average for every 200 days. So every dot on that line is an average for the 200 days prior. That's pretty smooth.
Yeah.
So, and look at the direction of it, right? Right now it's kind of curling down, but overall, over that 5 year period, it's been a nice, smooth ride. And so, really, the problem is we see the daily, the churning that's happening and all this stuff, and that's what makes me calm. My clients are always telling me, "Oh, I do all these videos. I do a video every day on what's happening in the market." Then my clients are always, "Oh, you look so calm." Well, it's done pretty well. My entire career, we've had lots of downturns, but it's higher, pretty much all the time. I mean,
Hmm.
there was a bad 10-year period that ended in 2009. That was brutal. But it's up from there,
Hmm.
so it's just a matter of kind of hanging in there and letting things happen.